Hello, 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 and welcome to the sit down. My name is Rod Love. Hey, we have with us this evening, hey, Miss Shaquita Wynn. Welcome on to the sit down, everybody. Hey, for those of you who don't know, the sit down is created and intended to let the community know what services are available out there, but not just from a community standpoint. The sit down also is here to benefit you. We had a special guest on the sit down, and Doc Polite, our executive producer, who is also a host. We had a solar company on here talking about energy, talking about fixed price when it comes to utility bills. Which,
We all know how high that's going up.
and right now it is hot as Hades
Yes.
here in Central Florida. And so we had a representative from Trinity Solar.
Okay.
And when I tell you, Jarrell did an excellent job.
Good.
You know,
good,
he spoke
good.
to our audience, and we're talking about a wide range of audience, but he also spoke to our audience who are senior citizens on fixed incomes.
Oh, that's a big one.
Oh, big one. And he talked about how these solar panels can help you if you're living on a fixed income now, how you can manage it a whole lot better. And so to Trinity Solar, gotta say thank you. And it's not gonna be the last time Jarrell's gonna be here.
Whoa, I know our audience probably has some questions for him.
Yeah,
So he needs to come back.
You're right, you're right. But once again, welcome to the sit down. I'm your man, Rod Love, with Mrs. Wynn, and we're going to have a conversation with you this evening. And that conversation, Ms. Quee, is a conversation about the sit down plan 2025. Since everybody can talk about
Okay.
Project 2025,
Right.
we're going to talk about the sit down plan 2025.
Okay.
And some of the things that we've been talking about is we're trying to lean into what's taking place in communities, and the fact that Central Florida community is no different than communities around the country
Absolutely.
when it comes to its vulnerabilities and things of that nature. And so Ms. Wynn, along with our illustrious executive producer, guest host, Doc Polite, and does he have a turtleneck on?
With Dr. Brown.
Without the brim? Go ahead, Doc.
Hey, you know I gotta be
Go
smooth.
ahead, man.
I gotta be smooth. I got competition over there.
Dog, listen to me. Hey, Doc, I like that. I like that. It sounds, man, I like how you put it together.
Yeah, my wife was fussing at me. She said you love buying
She was
clothes.
fussing at you?
Yeah. She got mad with me this weekend. I told her, I said you need to go buy Rod Closet.
Listen to you. Listen now. Hey, don't try to get too fussed up, Doc.
Queen, I put it off on him.
We got to go to Mr. Love Closet with them different bands.
No,
With them different band sneakers.
Hey,
I know.
Why y'all rolling me into y'all, man?
You ought to see it, man. That dude got some shoes.
Yeah, he had some bands
Hey,
for
to
y'all.
the sit down audience.
He got so many. He got so many shoes. He'll make a caterpillar ashamed, a centipede ashamed.
Y'all just ignore that. Y'all ignore that. But you know what? Hey, and I gotta apologize to our audience. We really run so much in preparation for the show. We want to make sure that we're bringing to you facts and not fiction. That we just ran a little long, but what we're gonna give you, and Mondo, turn me down a little bit. I'm getting a little bit back in this room, but what we're gonna bring to you this evening is definitely going to be information that you can use. Everybody's been talking about Project 2025 and the issues in Project 2025 that at best can be insulting to people.
Yes.
You know what? Why are we going to continue to have a conversation about Project 2025? We need to know about it. We need to know how do we navigate. And there's a lot of people who haven't even read this thing.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But what I will say is there's some items in there that, I would sit back and say when you're talking about our national security and things of that nature, I don't have an issue. There's some things in there I got major issue with. But look, since everybody's going to go ahead and put their label on something, then the sit down is going to go ahead and put its 2025 plan together. And so with that, Ms. Wynn, Doc, where did we leave off in talking about
Well,
the sit down?
well, we left off talking about the I think our next up topic was poverty. We were going to talk about poverty, and remember what the purpose of doing this report is for us to self-identify things that we know to be a hindrance in our community. These are not
Yes.
necessarily blame points or anything like that, but it takes a community to address the issues. So we wanted to put something out there on the table.
And you're right, Doc. And so,
Right,
you know, I know
right.
we've talked about educational inequality. You know, that was one of the items that, you know, we also got to prepare these young people to step up to the table when we talk about educational inequality.
Oh. Go ahead. Before we get into this, I do have to tell this story here. While I was on vacation with my 3 little grandbabies, me and my husband, we had 2 4-year-olds and a 7-year-old. They
By
all
yourself?
by ourselves. We just sitting around there playing and playing. I have one 4-year-old tell another 4-year-old, you need to come with your own identity. You don't have to do what I do.
A
You
4-year-old,
be
a
yourself.
4-year-old?
A 4-year-old
And they
told
wear his-
another 4-year-old that.
They way ahead of their
They're
time.
way ahead of their time.
That's
Me and
one
my
of them.
husband is
That's one of them
listening
COVID
like,
babies.
What did she just say? And she said it again. You be your own person.
Hey,
You don't have to do what I do.
that's one of those COVID babies. You know, they come here ready.
That's one of those
Now
what
what?
babies, Doc?
One of those COVID babies.
COVID babies.
Hey, they had to come in the world swinging during COVID.
We learned a whole lot. And
These are all girls too, right?
all girls. All girls.
Hey, see, Doc,
And
we got to catch up. All girls.
Yeah,
all,
yeah. Well, I got 2 girls and a boy. Well, 3 girls and a boy. So,
But I say that to say this. When I say we got to catch up, come on, man. And I don't mean to be critical, but man, these young ladies, these women are out there, man, and they're doing some unbelievable things in terms of leading the charge.
yes.
And so when I
Yes.
say we got to catch up,
yeah.
I got to
Well-
go ahead and throw my hands up and say, fellas, we're falling behind. When you look at
Yes.
issues that are
Yes.
critical to communities, you see women that are stepping to the forefront. You
yes.
see
Yes.
them bringing other women to the forefront, and they don't have an issue about getting other women in attendance to the
Yes.
issues that matter.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Don't-
so let me ask this on that note. Do you think that it's women's fault that we don't have the men? Because this is kind of an argument that's kind of bubbling on social media, where you have my generation and the generation behind me. The men are saying to the women that the reason we have this problem is because women have raised their daughters and spoiled their sons.
Well,
And
go ahead, Ms.
and,
Smith.
Go ahead.
and
No,
so
I don't think so, because I raised a son and I left the raising of my son to my husband.
But see, but that just it, because I was ready to just kind of get into a conflict conversation here, but you said it for me. You raised your daughters, and I mean you raised your son and your daughters. But then when it came to raising your boy to be a man, you left that to your husband.
Yep, look, you handle
But that-
this.
but
you wanted to
that's
do
a
that
rare, yeah, that's so
That's
rare.
rare.
That's
Yeah.
so rare. You know, even in a lot of situations where a stepfather is in the home, that woman oftentimes does not want that stepfather to put structure
Yeah.
in place. See, discipline is love.
It is.
See, if you love someone, you're in charge of them, and you need to discipline them, you will, because what you're trying to do through that discipline is secure them. You can't do this. You can't say that. There's a consequence. I'm trying to save you from the negative consequence if you take this action. Children don't understand that. Their reasoning skills are not there. So you, as a parent, that's your job. You know?
But Doc, but the other part of it, Doc, and I think you're hitting on something that we don't talk enough about, and that is consequences
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and how
Okay.
immediate the consequence. If my daughters were to do something that, firstly, I got to say that I found out about. My daughters know the consequences are going to be immediate. I'm not going to wait next week, next month,
Right.
to say, hey, as a result
Mm-hmm.
of your decision making,
Mm-hmm.
here's what's going to happen.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I'm not going to wait a week or a month out to do it. They know consequences are going to be immediate. But I think that kind of dives into when we talk about crime and consequences.
Yes.
And yes, I am going to be critical, Doc. And Doc and I had these conversations all the time. But when you look at, I believe in everybody getting a second chance. I do believe in that.
Correct.
But I also believe if the consequence isn't appropriate to what the offense was, and if you continue to belabor and you watch an individual continue to commit these offenses, and then you know because oftentimes they may have done something 10 times,
Yeah.
and you caught them on the 15th or 20th time.
Yes. Yeah. But then that takes us back to with a child in school. I have a relationship with my son teacher. When he got in trouble, I need to know right then and there. Don't wait a week later to send me a notice. You know, I need to address it right then when you address it, because that will get all of us on the same page.
Yeah, because if it's a week later, it's old
It's
now.
old now.
It's old now.
And he'll say, well, that happened back.
But-
what?
but
what
ag-
happened
but
to me?
again-
Notice.
But again, you were raised with values. I can tell that just how you talk. There was an expectation of how you were to behave in your home when you were growing up. So
Yes.
you've learned that, and that was the blueprint that you set forth with your kids. And
Yes.
a lot of these people, grandma 32 in the club smoking weed with the daughter or the sons, and they haven't lived or gotten enough life under them to know.
Hey, Doc, you talk about generational issues now, right?
Exactly, and unfortunately, that's the norm. That has become the norm versus what we're talking about. When I see Rod and with his daughters, I understand because where he is. Because what the beautiful thing about, you ever watch Rod with his girls, they explicitly trust him. You can't shake their faith in their father. Why? Because he is structured and he is accountable to them. He has an expectation from them. They know it.
Yeah.
They appreciate it. So it makes them fearless because they know that daddy and mom is going to be there to guide them right.
And you're right, Doc. You're right. But something, Doc, that you experienced, and also you, Miss Wynn, I will tell you. Now, my daughters have tried to play me with my wife.
Now everybody's gonna
But all kids don't do that. All kids going to do that. All kids are going to do that. Because that's what kids do. They test the boundaries. They want to know how far you're going to let them go. You know? And that's a testament to you. Do you still love me, Dad? Are you still going to correct me? That they want to know. That's reassuring to them.
But not only that, I mean, I'm 50-some years old, and when my dad comes here, he still acts like I'm a little child. I'm like, Dad, I'm married with my own kids, my own husband, but you still trying to tell me what to do. But I said,
Oh,
okay,
now
Dad.
that's a very toxic trait in our community. It's very, very bad. And I did a workshop on that about 4 months ago, where I talked about the relationship between adult children and parents. It's not the same. In our community, black parents often struggle with the transition. You know, I remember me telling my mom, I don't need to be mothered. Oh man, if that wasn't an argument, because I'm 60 years old, I don't need if I ain't got it now, I won't get it. I don't need a quarterback or a coach. Okay, I got more life behind me than ahead of me. So I pretty much have avoided many of the things that my peers and contemporaries have had to deal with. So I know about. I got enough life under me. Is my meaning. It's not
you
that.
know, and Doc,
It's a
I
good
hear,
thing.
yeah, and I hear where you're coming from, but I will tell you, and I guess it was just inherent in me and my siblings and my cousins that our elders, not only did we respect them, it's almost like they get stuck in time because we grow up
Yes.
and my grandmother, as a grown man, my grandmother would still call me, and y'all, you know, for each of my siblings, my grandmother called me Roger Dodger, and my brother Raymond Damon, Ricky Dickey, Ronnie Donnie, and as grown men, she would still call us that.
Oh,
But you know
wow.
something else? The respect that they had ingrained in us was to the extent that, you know, I would come home from college and I'd go hang out. I'd go see my grandparents, my uncle, my aunts, and I think I'm grown now. But you know one thing for sure, I would never ever in my life pour a drink in front of them. It was just in my psyche,
Yeah.
and you know, and my siblings, my cousins, we didn't do that. I
You
mean,
still had that respect
we had
no
that-
matter how old you are.
No matter how old.
And that has more to do with culture and upbringing than right or wrong. Okay, and I get it. I get it because my mother never heard me cuss. Well, I didn't cuss in front of her intentionally. Now she has been around me a couple of times when I had to get out there in the street and fight. But you know, and I might have said some choice words, but you know, in the heat of battle, shoot, everything go. And
but then, Doc, as you wrap all of this into what we're talking about when we talk about educational inequalities, when we're talking
Yeah.
about violence and crime,
Yes.
hey, Doc, it goes back to the respect, the upbringing, and I will say it goes a niche further. Doc, we've been having a conversation, Miss Wynn and I, when we talk about this responsible fatherhood empowerment initiative
Yes.
that's
Right.
being rolled out. If we
But-
could go ahead, Doc.
but think about this. We're talking about the need for that love and that trust and that stability, those
Yes.
things that make us secure. But how many of these kids are dealing with an absolute horrific situation of poverty that has rendered their parents almost hopeless and helpless? They feel like it, or accepting of their conditions where they don't feel motivated to do anything else, and the kid, as a consequent, they suffer as well.
Yes.
You know, I used when I was a young man, I used to look at people with all these kids that were poor, and I used to wonder, you got to be kidding me. You got to be out your mind to have all these doggone kids, and you can't take care of you. That's so
Yeah.
unfair to a child, to bring them in this world, and you're not able or capable of taking care of them. When I had my kids, I could take care of them.
So
But
Doc,
everybody fall on hard times, though.
everybody
No.
has a hard time, but you know, we're talking about poverty here, and the audience listening to us, yeah, we can give all these examples about poverty, but what people really want to know is how do you navigate your way out of it?
Well, everything starts with a plan. Okay, you have a plan and then you take action. See, I think why most people fail, honestly, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
There you go. And we have to have that mentality. We take one bite at a time into our problem until we consume it, step by step by step. But everybody want to run to the head of the line. You know, I used to say, join the church on Sunday and bishop by Monday. You know, you see that kind of behavior when people feel in a hurry to get out of a circumstance and because they're in a hurry, they don't have time to build a foundation, and they slide back,
And then they go back into that.
and they go back, and that is discouraging. Okay, it's discouraging, and so each time they try less and less and less, till they come to a position where, you know what, I'm just poor, and I'm gonna always be poor, or I'm gonna always deal with this, and life
But-
gets to them.
Yeah, but Doc, Miss Wynn, okay, here's what, because everybody looks at the advent of technology and everything that's in front of us. I want you two to help me with this.
Okay.
If what I got a young man over here that has grown up in poverty.
Right.
He's listening to this conversation, and he's saying, okay, I hear everything y'all got to say.
Yeah.
Now, tell me something that I don't know so I can develop a plan to navigate out of my circumstances that I'm in. And this same young man is sitting back saying, hey, look, I know people talk about furthering your education and things of that nature. Everybody's not there. So I'm giving you a young man who says he doesn't want to go to college. Now, so I want both of y'all.
And that's fine.
And so now
That's
I want both
fine.
of y'all to help me with building the tools that this young man needs. So with that being the case, Ms. Wynn, I'm gonna jump back and forth while we
Okay,
can.
okay.
But what would you start the conversation out with this young man in terms of developing a plan to get himself out of poverty?
Well, first of all, the young man needs to find out what it is that he wants to do. What are you good at doing? What are some of your skills? If you have any type of skill sets, there's a lot of different programs out there that can help you with that skill set. But it goes back to, like Doc says, you got to have a plan. You got to write it down. What does this look like?
Okay, so they got to focus on what are they interested in and what are the skill sets. So that's a building
That's a
foundation.
building.
Doc,
Well,
what would you say?
I would tell you this. Number one, there is no skill beyond anyone other than someone, with a mental or learning deficit or disorder. Most of us can do anything. It just takes time. It takes time and practice. See, you can be a doctor, but it's going to take you time and practice.
So Doc, we're building this
okay,
young man.
I get that. So I'm going to start. The first thing I'm going to tell him, find you a mentor that you admire and who lives look like yours, that you want, the life that you want. Find
Doc.
that person. Yeah.
Doc,
Skill set.
Doc, that's in the 2025 plan, the mentor, the lack. But Doc, guess what it falls under?
What?
It falls under lack of mentor. Lack of mentor.
Right. So, but that's what I did. I got a picture. Y'all, and it's so beautiful. Y'all let me share this picture. Let me share this picture, okay? Don't get upset. Y'all know Doc old dude and stuff. So, I'm trying to find this picture.
Well, while he's finding that picture, Doc identified one of the things that we're in desperate need of, communities across the country is in desperate need of, and that's mentors. Giving of your time
Yeah.
and sharing with a young person your talents, but also looking at how you can help them hone their skills. So, I mean, Doc hit on it, but what I want us to do, and I want us to continue to do this, Ms. Wynn, you started it out building a strong foundation. A person has to know what they're interested in. They got to have some kind of skill set.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I agree with Doc. You can, that old advantage of you can be whatever you want to be. I get it. But you know what? Let's build upon what we know you have.
Exactly. Work with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when Doc talks about finding a mentor, absolutely right. But I also know we got to figure out how do we get mentors interested in
Yes.
sharing basically
Knowledge,
the
but
knowledge
that they
and that.
have.
You're right. You're right.
That they have.
So Doc, identifying someone to be a young person mentor, where do you go from there?
Well, the first thing is you got to get out of your community, because oftentimes in your community are going to be others who are dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. and that's not a bad thing. But if you stay in that community and you expect one thing to come and it never comes, then you need to look for it outside of that. You can't learn if everybody around you is a cowboy, you'll never learn how to be a tailor. You see what I'm
right.
saying?
You're right.
So you got to find out if you want to be a tailor, then find out where the most tailors are and go there and ask them to mentor you. You would be young people, y'all would be surprised how many people will sit down and actually mentor you and are willing to share their knowledge. I'm one of them. I don't want to die with all this knowledge I have. And Quee and Rod will tell you, Doc know a lot of stuff. You know, I'm just one of those people that I'm like a sponge. But I want to share this with y'all. Y'all see that?
Yes.
Y'all, can you see it good?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's me being promoted at 21 to sergeant.
Oh wow.
This
You had
is
some
this is
heritage
not.
back then.
Yeah, this is night. Hey, I was in Germany and it got cold, so we kind of wore little mini afros.
What
But
was
soon-
that at, Doc?
This is in Fulda, Germany. This is 1982, the first part of the year. That's my roommate, the tall white guy next to me.
Yeah.
His name is Winifred Stockert. Me and him, we did basic together, and this guy here is Dave Morris, right here, close to the field, and the guy behind me is one of the lieutenant. That's Lieutenant Bigelow, and I got these pictures around, but all of these guys were mentors. Okay, all of these white gentlemen, they cared about us. Me and Dave and Stockert, we were all enlisted. These were captains and career soldiers. I think the lowest rank other than us in there was a captain. And so
Military material.
but listen, ain't no such thing as military material. You know what you need to be in the military?
What's that?
A listener. A listener.
A listener.
You got to be a listener. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
These young kids out here don't even know how to do that.
And
But-
it's about
So-
communication. It's about learning. But Doc, that's a good example. And one of the things I will say this to you. I've had many of mentors in my life, navigating career-wise. But I will say this to you, and this may surprise you. Quite a few of my mentors didn't sign up to mentor me, and I'd say about 80% of them never knew.
Relatives.
I would know, and they wasn't just relatives. But what I'm saying to you is this: it was like being a thief in the night. I saw these guys that I saw that were successful. I saw these guys that
And you emulated them. Yep.
What I
And
wanted to be.
emulated. And you
And-
emulated them.
And I would sit back and I would study, watch, all the way down to the dress. You know,
See, hey, Quee, he just said the magic word. He said,
Right.
I would sit and
See?
watch. He ain't say I go over there and run my mouth.
Yeah.
See, you can't. A lot of times, learning don't take place when it's a two-way dialogue. You gotta shut up.
But that's what we have to teach the young people. Is you have to sit and listen.
I know.
Thinking you
Listen,
have the answers, or if try to cut corners.
and,
You know?
and there's this thing that says if you're doing more talking than listening, then you're not getting what you should be able to get.
Right,
And-
you're
and-
not
and-
learning.
And I mean, we're going to continue this, and I'm glad, and I hope that we remember where we're going to leave off because, and I'm taking notes, talking about skill set, what young people are interested in. Doc is
and see,
talking about-
and here's the beautiful thing about this conversation. See, poverty is not a place; it's a mindset. Okay, it's a mindset of lack, of consistent lack. You feel that you can never have, never will, and it's unobtainable to you. So you accept your circumstances, and you go and you give up, and you just stay there, and you look for external factors to cast that blame on. And far too many people have learned how to be helpless. They really have.
But again, and I'm gonna keep this train focused. We're talking about poverty, and Doc, Miss Wynn, y'all are really encapsulating how do we build that young man that I'm talking about that is in poverty, that's saying, hey, and you know, we could easily say, man, you can go to school, but
So-
I'm building this individual
So-
to say,
so-
here's somebody that say, I don't want to go to school. So now give me some of the tools, the foundation, the advice, the mentorship that I
well,
need
he's
to
got-
navigate this
he-
process.
He's got to learn what's called self-efficacy. That means how to advocate and promote
Right.
yourself and sell yourself to people, because nobody owes you anything. You got to understand that. Nobody owes you food. They don't owe you shelter. They don't owe you anything. You got to go get it. If you don't got it, it's because you didn't go get it. That's my thinking. Okay, and in that, Rod, what we have to understand is that we have to make sure that they understand that being successful is a process. That is so critical, because it's going to help them avoid giving up.
Wait, stop right there, Doc.
Uh-huh,
Stop right there. And I know the audience say he keeps writing. You know what? I don't like to grab things out of the air and try to come back later. Doc, you hit on something that, and it goes back to something that you're saying. When you say success is a process,
Yeah,
a process implies what?
It's gonna
That
take.
it's going to take time. And there are steps to this.
And it,
Right.
yeah.
And it doesn't
Right.
happen overnight. And
Right.
so when we say a process, all of us sitting in here, we just didn't wake up and find ourselves where we're at.
and
You know, and Miss Wynn and Doc, y'all can attest, and I'm just, this studio, this network, we just didn't say, okay, bingo.
but exactly. But look how many times along your journey have you found out that the information that you had was incorrect, or not the
Yes.
correct information that you need to go where you wanted to go? Did you stick with it, or you change course? See, that's a critical thing right there. You got to know when to change course, and why you changing course, and what your expectation is on the outcome. See, and that's a soft skill. That's one of those soft skills. Looking at a situation, evaluating it, and saying, this isn't going how I wanted to go. Okay,
But
we did.
Doc, to that point, and you know what? I'm sorry that we started late,
So late.
because we had been into this. But
Almost
to
time
this
to go.
point, you know, there's some ventures that I've gone on that I've stuck to it, and then down the road I sat back and, you know, I basically said, you know what? I'm exerting a lot of energy, a lot of resources,
Right.
and
Right.
maybe this is not the path, but
Right.
there's some areas, some avenues that I've gone, that I'm still going, that, hey, Doc, sometimes you get to a point where, for me, with certain endeavors, there's no turning back. I'm too invested in those endeavors to turn back. So Bill Gates is a great example. Microsoft.
Yeah.
It is
But-
the rock.
And see, but it involves critical thinking. Think about this. Now, you could, like you say, you go down certain roads and you don't turn back. But you are critically thinking that process. I have too much invested. I'm too close. I see other people who have taken this same similar path and had the successful outcome.
Yes.
What am I doing? What am I doing in my process that won't give me the same success? Because that's how I look at it. If you can do it, I can do it. All I
But
gotta
you
do is
put your
dedicate my.
twist on it.
Yeah.
While you're in that
You ain't
process
got
of
to. You ain't
doing
got to twist. You ain't got to twist nothing. Go copy. It's enough resources out there for you to copy the next person and go on.
And you know what?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know what? With Doc saying that, and I will say this, I tell my daughter, I've been telling my daughters for years, man, the amount of butt whippings that I got for bringing that report card home. And I'm gonna tell you, my two older siblings and my two younger siblings, none of them. You can add up the butt whippings that they got when we were growing up. They still haven't caught up with the ones I got. But here's what I would say. Man, with the advent, back then they had people that would walk around selling encyclopedias.
Yeah. Oh, my
Now-
dad has a collection.
All you got to do is say Alexa or Google,
Oh, yeah.
and you can get the answer. I
Yeah.
told my kids, ain't no excuse for
None.
y'all not having the knowledge and the wisdom that you need. None.
Yeah.
So, Doc,
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
You know,
You say encyclopedia. My dad has a lot, and my kids was like, "What are these books?" What granddad have all these books?
Hey, you don't want to throw them away.
No, you really don't.
hey, and remember the Dewey Decimal System where you had to go to the library and look up the thing. Man, look, they never know the horror of that thing.
Hey, Doc, some people still don't know what microfiche is.
Yeah, exactly. Or see a 5.5 inch floppy disk
You're
and
right.
like, what
You're
is
right.
that?
No,
And we-
it takes me back. What is this round thing here? We call this an album. What's an album?
What's an album? Hey, you know what? Hey, Doc, Miss Wynn, because we got a couple minutes left. Here's what I would like for us to do, because I think this is real interesting, and I think this is great for programs and parents to tune in. We got young man A that we're going to continue to work on, and Doc, we're going to work on, and we're going to use the Sit Down Plan 2025.
To mentor our young man.
Yeah. How do
Okay.
we build around this young man? And we're not going to soft shoot it. We're going to talk about some of the social ills that are out there
Yes.
that you got to prepare for.
Yes, yes. Not only that, you got to be able to say, I'm not going to follow my friends, or I'm not going to go down the same path as my friends. I'm going to go on a different path.
You're right.
Don't let your how do I say, your neighborhood.
Bring you down.
Bring you
And
down
don't
or
let your
define.
zip code determine your height.
Oh,
And you know
yeah.
what? I've come from one of those zip codes that people talk about. and so, hey, Doc, cause see, we got an executive producer. I got the co-host. Nobody pays attention to the clock but me. Doc, go
Hey,
ahead. You got 20 seconds.
I'm just thinking about that zip code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-
So
hey,
that,
two-
hey, that's the proof in the pudding.
That
Well,
is.
tell you what, here's what Attorney Jackson be saying. We have a cliffhanger for you. Tune in next week, because we're going to continue to build, and we got to come up with a name for this young man that we're building around.
Okay.
And so on the sit down next week, and we may have a guest, and if we have a guest, we'll have to work our way around it. But hey, tune in to the sit down. It takes place every Monday from 6 to 6:45. You have the co-host, Miss Beautiful Shaquita Wynn, who's gonna tell it like it is. And of course, everybody knows Doc Polite. He gonna tell it like it is, and even if you don't like it, he gonna give it to you right. So hey,
Some of our audience chime in on this young man's name.
okay, hey, and yeah, Miss Wynn has a point. We're looking forward to our viewing audience to chime in. Let us know what else we need to build around this young man to give him the fortitude to navigate
Yes.
getting out of poverty, but also educational inequities. Also looking at violence in communities, and unfortunately, how we see black on black violence that's taking place that we don't want to see young men or women or anybody
Yes.
for that matter
Well,
Yes.
become a victim to it.
Violence in black communities. I'm particular about that black on black, because almost 98% of crime is intra-racial.
Hey,
Meaning-
for the sit-down audience, like I said, even with our executive producer, nobody watch the clock but me. Hey, tune in next Monday for the sit-down from 6 to 6:45. We look forward to hearing from you. We'll see you next week.
Have a good evening.